Good morning, or good afternoon. Depends on your class, what time you're watching this. Yesterday we did a survey with our class to find out how many hours of TV do all of us watch. And here's our results, right? When we're going through the data collection process, first we're observing data, right? So I see people watching TV. Then we generate a question. I wonder how many hours of TV do fourth graders watch? And then now that we have the question, we can ask our survey. And that's what I did yesterday. I collected my data, and here it is. Now it's already organized because it's from least to greatest, 1/2 hour up to 3 or more hours. Now I need to represent it. And the way that I'm going to represent my data is I'm going to create a number line. And I'll use that number line to form my line plot. So my number line will always start with my smallest value. Didn't mean to do that. Which is 1/2 hour, and it'll go up to 3 or more hours. So let's see. Here's my line, so I can make my line plot. I need to start at my minimum, which is 1/2, and I need to end at my maximum, which is 3 or more. 3 or more. I'm going to put a plus sign to mean 3 or more. And we know that there's more numbers here because there's an arrow pointing in that direction. So now I need to fill in these numbers, right? And I'm not sure what to do because I have this half here. Well, I got this Nutri-Grain bar here. So if I'm talking about half, there's my camera. I pull it in half, right? If I have a half and a half, that equals 1 whole. So I know that after 1/2 comes 1 whole. Right? I got the number 1. Great. Oh, I can count 1, 2, 3, right? Boom. That looks good. This space is really big though, so I think I'll put a mark here and here. Okay, so I've got my number line. I need a label on my axis. I need to say, what are these numbers for? Am I talking about 1/2 of the Nutri-Grain bar? Our question that we were responding to yesterday was, how many hours of TV do you watch every day? So this 1/2 is 1/2 hour. It's hours of TV watched. So let me label my axis. A little big, make it a little smaller. Move my Nutri-Grain bar. Hours of TV watched. Okay, I've labeled my axis. I need somebody to understand what I'm talking about, who my audience was. Who was I asking this question to? Well, I was talking to fourth graders. How many hours of TV fourth graders watch each day? Boom, I've got my title. And now that I have created my line plot, now I need to put the data on there. So let me go check. Let's see, 1/2 hour, I got 1 person. So I'll put my X. Let's see, 1 hour, 1 person. One and a half hours, 0 people. Don't need to do anything with that. Oh, wait, I do. I need to make sure that 1.5 is on my line plot because we talked about the fact that we need all numbers, even if there was no data points there on our line plot. So 1.5. Where did 1.5 go? Oh, between the 1 and the 2. 1.5. And I guess between 2 and 3 would be 2.5. Okay, now I have my number line complete, and I can finish plotting my data. There are 2 people who watch TV for 2 hours each night. I've got more than one person with the same value, so I'm going to stack. We've got 3 people who watch TV for 2.5 hours every day. And for people who watch TV 3.5 hours a day, 7 people. And there we have it. We've created our line plot. So we're almost through with our data collection process. Now that we have represented our data, now we need to analyze it. We need to be able to understand it. We need to be able to talk about our minimum, our smallest value. I see that our smallest value is 1/2 hour. So the minimum number of hours a fourth grader is watching TV is 1/2 hour. This is our minimum. This is our minimum. The largest value, and I'm not talking about the stack of X's, I'm actually just talking about the number, right? Our largest value is 3 hours, 3 or more hours, right? And so our largest value is called our maximum. Okay. If we want to figure out our range, we're trying to figure out how much space is there in between our maximum value and our minimum value. So I'm looking between 3 and 1/2, how much space is there? And that will help me figure out my range. So my range is the distance between 3 and 1/2, right? And that equals 2.5, right? Because I've got 1 whole, 2 wholes, and then I've got that half. So our range is 2.5. And our mode is the value that happens the most, the value that occurs most frequently. So we're looking for the tallest stack here. And so our mode is 3 or more hours because we got this big tall stack of X's here. This is our mode, the value that occurs most frequently. So that helps us talk about this data. If we want to think about what's typical for a fourth grader, where do we see most of the data, right? I see way more data on this end of the number line than I do over here, right? These are going to be called outliers because they're far away from the majority of the data. When you have data points that are far away, they are called outliers because they lie outside the majority of the data. Our data is concentrated here. This is where we see most of our data. So if I wanted to make an educated guess about how many hours of TV a fourth grader is watching every day, I think a reasonable estimation would be to say a fourth grader typically watches between 2 and 3 hours of television every day. That's one statement I could say. I could say the minimum number of hours a fourth grader is watching is about 1/2 hour. I'm saying about because I know there's some people who don't watch TV. There's a second statement. I can say that more students watch 3 or more hours of television than anything else. There's a third statement I could say about the data. Our goal is always to be able to say at least 3 statements about our data. We're going to keep practicing. You guys are excellent mathematicians, so I want you to keep growing your brains.